Hi, everyone. This is Samantha Rowe from SADA, and we're thrilled to welcome you to today's live stream webinar where you will once again meet the experts. Today, we're learning all about functions and formulas in Google Sheets. At SADA, we've designed these weekly sessions to provide you with our deep expertise as we all work together in our remote environments, because there's always something we can learn using our collaboration tools in our daily lives. This series, called Sweet Bits, showcases our incredible SADA experts and provides some much needed how to's around the capabilities of the G Suite portfolio. I learn something new every single week. We hope these sessions will empower you too. You can submit your questions to today's presenter at any point by clicking the link in the description below and typing your questions. We'll get to them at the end of the presentation. These recordings will be available following the live stream on a remote workforce hub called Cloud Quarters, a new section of our website complete with a growing collection of productivity and collaboration resources just for you. Heather will talk more about it at the end of her presentation. I would now like to introduce our expert for today's session, Heather Summers, Digital Transformation Manager at SADA. Take it away, Heather.
Thank you, Samantha. That was great. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And it's great to be back, everybody. Thank you so much for joining today. I have to say, I'm a little biased on today's session because this is one of my favorite topics. We're going to talk today about Google Sheets. We're going to talk about functions and formulas. And if you haven't met me before, as Samantha said, my name is Heather Summers. I'm the Digital Transformation Manager. I help you to expand your G Suite usage on the G Suite platform. We'll go ahead and get started. And today we're gonna work with Google Sheets. We're gonna look at functions. We're gonna try out the Explore button, which is Google's artificial intelligence feature that's in our applications. And then we're gonna work with Excel inside of our Google Drive. Oops, went too far. So I'm gonna go ahead and go to our demo environment, and we're going to go ahead and go into the Google Drive. So you can see here in my company logo, and this is what's called the Apps Launcher. If I go to the Apps Launcher, I can go to any of the applications. You can go directly to Sheets if you'd like, but we're going to go into the Google Drive. Now, I've gone ahead and put a file in here. This was shared with me over here, you can see, by my colleague, Charlie Brown. And you can see it's an Excel file, XLSX. I've gone ahead and saved it onto my Google Drive. And I'm going to show you how you can still work with Excel inside of the Google ecosystem and inside of Google Drive. So I'm going to go ahead and open up that file, and it's going to open up in what's called preview mode. And the way that I know this is preview mode is you see the black all around it. So now what I can do is up here at the top, it's going to say open with, and it has other products there, but I'm going to go and open it with Google Sheets. Now, this is a little bit of a misnomer. It's actually opening up with the Google Sheets interface, but notice the XLSX here. It's still Excel despite being in Google Sheets. So now if I go ahead and back up, you can see here, it's still Excel. I didn't change it into a Google Sheet. And it's still shared with my colleagues. So if I click on the share button here, you can still see myself and Charlie Brown. So now what I want to show you is how to create a VLOOKUP. Now, we have a lot of functions inside of Google Sheets, and I'm going to show you a ton of information today. My enthusiasm sometimes makes me forget to tell you about the help. So up here at the top, you can see the help. And if you go into the training, you can see here that I can go ahead and see all of the training stuff right here. And then it also tells you how to switch from Excel to Google Sheets and so forth. And then all of our functions are listed in here. So if you go to help and go to the function list, you can see the function list here. I don't recommend that you print this. It's like over 25 pages on the printer, so don't print it. But if you want to look up a particular function, they are broken down by categories in here, and you can look them up. I like to tell people that we actually have more functions than than Excel, sorry, Microsoft, because we have Google functions right here. So we have one for your ticker tape, which is your finance one. We have a translate one. So there's some exciting functions within there. Okay, so now what I want to do is create that VLOOKUP. So if I type in equals VLOOKUP, and do a beginning parentheses, it's going to go ahead and give me a little help file here. So you can see here, it says, hey, now you want the search key, the range, the index, and is it sorted or not? You can collapse or expand this just by using this little minus key, or sorry, arrow going up and down. And then if I want to learn more about this function, there's a learn more option in the bottom left-hand corner. And that will go ahead and open up your help file here on the right. So one thing I learned, and I have to admit something, is I've been using VLOOKUP forever. And a lot, I didn't know why you put true or false. I actually learned it from Google. Is right here, it tells you about the different things. So it asks you if it's sorted, and yes, it is sorted. You can see alphabetically. But if you put true there, it gives you the closest or nearest match right there. If you put false in here, you're going to get an exact match. My colleague asked me the other day, why would you want the closest match? And the best thing I could think of was maybe if you, in my case, I have this employee ID 1001. If I just wanted the first instance of the words employee ID, maybe that's when I might want the closest or nearest match. So we puzzled on that, but that's what my guess is on that one. So I'm going to go ahead and do the range, which is columns A and B. And you can see here it's on a separate sheet than my VLOOKUP is on. And then I'm going to put a comma. And then the index indicates which column is this. And it doesn't recognize column A or column B or A or B, right? Or column one, column two. You just have to put the number two, and that gives us our index. And then that is sorted question comes up. So yes, it's sorted, but I want an exact match. So I'm going to put false. And then for my Excel power users, you can put zero. That's what we used to use. So now you can see the answer right there. And then just like in Excel, if I want to fill this down, if you go to the bottom right-hand corner and double click, I can fill that down. And you'll notice up here at the top, I've frozen this first row. You can do that under view and freeze. And that's unfrozen, view and freeze. And then I can freeze that first row. And if you look down, you'll see all of those VLOOKUPs go all the way down because I double clicked. Now, my colleague again was helping me um, dry run this the other day, and she just uses the shortcut keys, which again can be found under the help menu. So I could have done Control Shift down, but if you go to help and go to shortcut keys, you can see all of the different shortcut keys. Now I'm going to show you an array formula a little later. There's a toggle button here, and some of the functions keys or shortcut keys that we used inside of Excel are incompatible with Google Sheets just by default. But if you toggle this on, it does make them compatible. So for instance, array formula, which we'll do in a little bit, is Control Shift Enter. If I don't have this green toggle button on, it doesn't work. So just FYI, if you're trying to use one of your Excel shortcut keys that don't work for some reason, that's what this does. This goes ahead and makes them compatible with Google Sheets. Okay, so now what I want to do is what's called an H lookup. So the first one, V lookup, stood for vertical lookup. This stands for a horizontal lookup. So I'm going to type in equals H lookup beginning parentheses. And again, remember you have that expand and collapse. What this one is looking for is the search key. In this case, we're going to look by department. So we'll do HR, comma, and then you can do by range. And this time we're going to go to the phone numbers tab here at the bottom, and we're going to do horizontally. So I'm going to highlight row one and row two, and I'll do a comma. And then is sorted again is false because we went, I keep spelling false wrong, an exact match. So gave me this arrow before and I don't know why because when I redid it, it worked just fine. So let me try one more time. C2, so Oh, okay. Let me try one more time. So C2, and then I'm going to go back to my phone numbers page, go to this, do the comma. Oh, I forgot the index. That's what it was. The index is 2. I went the row 2 and then false. That's talking and writing at the same time. So now we've got it. So just to give you so you know where I was doing, search key is the first one, which is C2 and HR. The range is that phone numbers tab in those first 2 rows. 2 is which row do I want to bring back? In our case, I want to bring back the phone number, and then is sorted is false. So I get that exact match. Again, to fill this down, if you go to the bottom right-hand corner, get the black cross and double click, that fills that down. Now you can see here, it's giving me some um, non-applicable, it's not finding it. And it's because notice as it goes down, it's keeping changing the rows to the next row. And on our phone numbers tab, it doesn't have anything on row 3. So in that case, what you would do, and I'm going to do undo right here, is you would put in what's called an absolute reference. An absolute reference is putting a dollar sign in front of the 1 and a dollar sign in front of the 2. And then now it would work. I could just go ahead and double click and fill that down. But I want to show you now what's called an array formula. So one of the things we didn't support it years ago was array formulas, but now we do. And I want to show you how they're just a little bit different inside of Google Sheets. So here I'm going to go in front of the H inside of the equals H lookup, and I'm going to do that shortcut key I told you about. So Control, Shift, and Enter is going to automatically put the words array formula in there. So you may ask yourself, well, Heather, why would I use an array formula? So if this was a form or something that people filled out, every time they put in their department, it would automatically put in the phone number with an array formula. And you can do this with Vlookup, HLOOKUP, Concatenate, different formulas. But in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to say C2 colon C. And if I wanted to stop on the last row, I could do C100. But I'm going to just go ahead and do C so that it fills down. And now you can see fills the phone numbers down for me. Now, I told you array formula would then automatically look up the information. So now if I come down to cell A101 and type in employee ID 9999 and type in my name, and you might be asking yourself, well, Heather, why are you showing these particular things? These are all things that didn't exist, I want to say 4 years ago. So if you tried the product before, I want to assure you that now, no, all that stuff that we didn't have before is now here. So you can now do array formulas and all of the things that I'm telling you about. So array formulas did not exist before, and they have been around for a couple years now. So I want to go and show you how to do what's called concatenate. So here we're going to put in our name, period, last name at mycompany.com. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight these 3 columns, C, D, and E. I'm going to right click and I'm going to insert these 3 columns to the left. And I'm now going to split the name up into first name and last name. So I can do that just by copying, and I'm going to go to column C and I'm going to paste it. And you may ask yourself, well, why'd you copy and paste it? And that was so that I didn't mess up my VLOOKUP. And then here, you notice the little clipboard. So right inside this clipboard is a very powerful tool. Again, did not exist 4 years ago. And when I click on the down arrow, I can split this text to columns. So I'm going to go ahead and do split text to columns. And I'm going to say, oh, we're going to split on the space. And I apologize beforehand. I know I'm a horrible typist, but this always points us out, is Allison Morgan on line 4, so C4, you may or may not notice, has 2 spaces in it. You will be able to tell when I split them. So here, when you split, you can see Allison Morgan is across 3 columns. I've only done this a couple hundred times, so I know that it's going to go into 3 columns. So just That's how I know that. So I'm going to do first name and last name. And then I'm just going to move these things that are in column E. I'm going to physically just move them over. Now, if you had this situation, we're going to see a little down here, is Mary Ann Toms. She has a middle name. And she has this first name twice for her first name, Mary Ann. You could take out the space or you could go and do other things. But I'm going to go ahead and drag this over to the left and same here. And then same thing. You could go ahead and delete that column by right clicking and deleting the column. So now I'm going to go ahead and do what's called concatenate. I'm going to do equals concatenate beginning parentheses, and we're going to do first name, comma, period, last name. Oops, sorry, messed up. Last name here. So comma, last name, comma, and then at, I'm going to do quotes at SADA.com, quote. Now you can do your company, obviously. So I can then fill this down by going to the bottom right hand corner and double clicking. Now what I want to do is I want to see how much money did I spend in my HR department in that last column of column K. So normally what I could do here is I can do a pivot table and a filter, which I'll show you too, but I want to show you our artificial intelligence option. So down here in the bottom right hand corner is what's called Explore. And what this does is it engages artificial intelligence to analyze your data. So here you can see there's a pivot table in here, there's an analysis with a chart, there's a pie chart, and then there's a histogram. So I'm going to go ahead and use the artificial intelligence part here. So what this does is allow you to write in natural language a question. So I'm going to say, what was the total cost for HR, right? So that's natural language. I'll press and enter. And now it tells me, oh, you spent $48,000 in HR. And if I click on this little link that says see formula, you can see the formula listed right there. So here I can say my group is HR. And I can take this right here from my column over here on the right, the sidebar, and drag it right onto the spreadsheet. It says 48,000. Now, I could have figured this out by filtering it. So if I come up here to the top and I do this funnel right here, I can create a new filter view. I can go over here to department and clear this. And I'm going to say HR. And now I could filter this for HR. And this black bar that you see here is called a filter view. And what that allows me to do is I can still look at this and see what I'm looking for. But if Charlie goes into the same exact spreadsheet, he sees the entire spreadsheet, not my filtered view. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight this. And you can see down here at the bottom, am I missing it? Oh, see there, it's right there. I'm missing that number, and you can see down here 48,000. So just like in Excel, I can do what's called a quick sum, and it has it right there. And then notice the explore button. Just like we did with before with dragging that over, I could drag this over onto the spreadsheet if I wanted this number on the spreadsheet. So that is the use of artificial intelligence. I went ahead and closed out of that filter. And now what I want to show you is what's called a pivot table. So if you go to data, we have a lot of those things that I talked about. So the split text to columns in here. If I wanted to remove, you can see tons of duplicates in here because they bought different things. I could remove my duplicates through here. And then here is the pivot table. So all that fun stuff that you and me love is here under data. So I'm going to go ahead and do pivot table. I'm going to create this on a new sheet. And it says it goes to 1,000, but I know my data only goes to 100. So we're going to go ahead and say create. And now to create the pivot table, I just click add. I'm going to do department. My columns are the items I bought. And then the values is the cost. And then here I could filter by my department and see just HR. So I can clear this, do HR, and see just the cost for HR, which is 48,000. Now, if I wanted to break this down and see what that actually entails, what did I spend that money on? I can double click on any of these cells and you get a detail of exactly what I spent in that department. And this is also is available in Excel, but I wanted to show you you can do it here inside of Sheets. So now I want to show you a little bit about the interoperability. So I keep referencing Excel. I think our product's better, but I realize the whole world is not on Google Sheets, which is going to happen tomorrow. So what I wanted to show you is you can still download this as Excel. This is still being saved as Excel. So if I send it back to my colleague, it's still Excel. And then I can email it to them as Excel. Now, I didn't point this out and I apologize. I've been on the platform for so long, I forget about this. But notice this right here, all changes saved in Drive. Everything that I have been doing has been being saved. Every single change. If I was curious what was changed, I can click here on this link and it shows me exactly what I did. So then I can go back and see color coded all the things that I have done. And I can restore back to a previous version. So if Charlie made a change that I didn't like, or Charlie didn't like the changes I made, he could always restore back to his version of the file if he wanted. And then the real selling point for our product is the collaboration, right? So I could go ahead in here and right click and create a comment and ask Charlie, hey, is this correct? It seems high. And I can assign this to Charlie and then click assign. He'll get an email and he can then come in here with me and we could collaborate on this in real time. So it's pretty exciting, all of the collaboration features that you have with this. And then there's no version control. There's in the sense of this is your version. If you wanted to go to one of those other versions, you can always go to File and Version History and see that same thing before. You can name these versions. You know, this is my final version. And then you can always go back to a version too. So pretty exciting, all of the control that you have over the product. So I'm going to go ahead and go to our questions and I'll go back here. Um, oops, wrong thing. There we go. There we go. And we'll go to our questions. So I see here, will all my formulas transfer over if I convert my Excel file to a Google Sheet? Yes. So if you did want to convert things, so let's go back to our file. And I sorry, I have hiccups for some reason. So here I want you to see, you can, let me see, find a formula. So let's do this one. This one, let's just put a formula in there. That's probably best. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go to my epsilon key here for functions. And I'm going to do a sum. And I can highlight the items first if I wanted to. So I can go like this and do a sum in here, press enter. And so now I have my sum. Oops, sorry. And I could have also used that explore button if I wanted to remember and gotten some. But here's my sum, and you can see it there. If I go to File and Save as Google Sheets, that's going to go ahead and bring this over as a Google Sheet. It looks exactly the same, but notice we don't have the XLSX, so it's not Excel anymore. And now if we go down and look, at this, you can see that, oh, there our sum is still there. Now, I will caveat this is notice my array formula is gone for the very first cell, but all of my data is in there. So just that one, oh no, it's still there. No, I don't know what happened there. My concatenate function didn't cover that first cell. I thought it was array formula, but my array formula came over just fine, which is what I was concerned about. So no, I'm good. Um, all your formulas are there. So in real time, you saw it. But great question. Thank you. Can you do VLOOKUP with two different workbooks? Yes, you can. It's a little more complicated. So if I go to File and New and create a new spreadsheet, you have to do what's called a nested formula. So this is called a lookup. And if I came to this sheet and typed in equals import range. Now, because this doesn't exist in time and space, so on our C drive, it's actually exists in time and space. You're on the C drive, you're in a particular folder. Here, we don't have time and space. We're in the cloud, quite literally. So now what we're going to do is use what's called the spreadsheet URL. So if I go back to my original sheet here, and this is the URL, and notice right here it says the word edit and then GID, which is the Google ID. Each page or tab inside my workbook here or spreadsheet has a different Google ID. So I'm just going to copy that entire URL and I'm going to come in here and put it in quotes. And I have to take out that last part that tells me which tab I want. And I'll put quotes and then I can do comma. Now I named that first tab on here data. So here I would type in the word quotes data, and then I have to put an exclamation point. It's just the naming convention. And then I'm going to do A1 column or colon K100 and then quotes. And it's going to give you a little bit of an error message, but that's okay. When I go to the error message, I just have to say allow access. And then now it'll have the information. And it takes a second. And then I would then nest the VLOOKUP in here. And that might take longer than it's going to add to this. So, oops. Yeah, it's going to take a minute. I'll come back to it. So now the question is, can I see what changes were made to a specific cell? Yes, you can. So if I come right here and right click, you can go to the cell information. So I haven't changed anything. So let me change this. I'll delete it and then I'll put average in here. So equals average being parentheses. And I'll do this. And press enter. And now when I right click, there'll be a interesting. It's not in here. You can see, oh, because I'm still in Sheets. All right. So I'm sorry, I'm in Excel. So let me go ahead and say this is a Google Sheet. So I don't have that when I'm using the Office Editor, which is where it stays as Excel. That cell referencing, I have to use Google Sheets for this. So now you can see show edit history and it shows me exactly what I did inside that cell and all the changes that occurred. So if, for instance, I wanted to make this now a sum, and I'm going to say a, nope, this is A2 through A100. Now, if I right click and go back to that show cell history, you can go back and forth between the changes. So that was my last question. And I apologize, my lookup is just for some reason having some weirdness. But you would nest the formula in here and put the VLOOKUP in front of, no, yeah, in front of the words, no, not in front. It would be behind the words import range. So first you import it and then you would do the VLOOKUP inside of there. I think it's before. You would do VLOOKUP in an import range. So I apologize. I ran out of time, but feel free to, you'll get a survey and you can go ahead and ask questions through that survey if you want, if we didn't get a chance to answer yours. I admit this is my favorite topic, so I tend to talk a lot about it. Our upcoming live stream is going to have my colleague on it, Michael Ames, and it's going to be on Thursday, May 28th at 10 Pacific time and 1 p.m. Eastern time. This one's going to be how Google Cloud helps healthcare organizations enhance human health and wellness. I've told you about our Google Meet offer every time, so I've got to catch up on time. So If you haven't taken advantage of it, it is available until September 30th. And we here at SADA have a quick start program to help you out with that. I just want to thank you so much. We're going to be going into doing other speakers and other experts will be doing this. So I am so excited I got to spend all this time with you, and I really appreciate it. From all of us here, on behalf of myself and the team at SADA, I want to thank you for joining today and have a great rest of your day. You will receive a survey that you can provide feedback and ask questions and suggest ideas for future sessions and live streams. So, thank you so much and have a wonderful day.